How's it going, everybody? I recently sold my base model M1 MacBook Pro because it was getting a little long in the tooth, and I found that it was struggling to keep up with my workload. My workload, by the way, consists of web development, iOS development, and of course video editing using things like Adobe Premiere, Adobe After Effects, Photoshop, so on and so forth. And I found that over the last year or so, because of how demanding my workflow has gotten, the Mac wasn't able to keep up, and I was starting to get things like drop frames in Premiere, and it was taking a long time to render clips in Adobe After Effects, and time is money is what I'm learning. Now I'm at a point where I wanted to get something a little more beefy, and I didn't want to spend a lot of money on a new MacBook because frankly I could get a lot of performance for a lot less if I go with the Mac Mini or the Mac Mini Pro. So I ended up picking up the Mac Mini M2 Pro, essentially the base model. The only thing I've tweaked a little bit is I have upgraded the storage from 512 gigabytes to 1 terabyte. And the reason I've done this is, as you can imagine, to double the SSD speeds and to have more storage. I'm working with a lot of files. Obviously, I need the space, and I do have a 1 terabyte Crucial SSD as well. It's external, plugged in via USB-C, that gives me about 1,000 megabits per second read-write. And so far, it's been an incredible setup at a really good price. So I want to talk about the Mac Mini M2 Pro in 2024 and tell you guys a little bit how it's been. And if you're considering buying this Mac, I'm going to give you some insight as to whether or not that's a good idea. Today's sponsor is Remotely, a next generation remote access tool. It supports 4K at 60 frames, and it even supports HDR. It's low latency, which makes it great for PC gaming, and it's supported on all recent versions of Windows. It supports session recording and voice chat, and it allows you to mark up web pages. It also has a very active community forum where you can post up your issues and get solutions in the same day. All transmitted data is encrypted using AES 256, so it is extremely secure. There's a strong 14-sign connection ID, which makes it virtually impossible to guess. You also have the option to brand the quick support tool with your company brand and logo, and there's an advanced mobile application that allows you to use your tablet as a terminal. And currently there's free licensing for both business and personal usage, so you have nothing to lose. I've been using this software now for a couple weeks and I'm very happy with it, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Again, big thanks to Remotely for sponsoring this video. Check them out at the link in the description below. I can definitely get done what I need to get done with this machine, but I'll say this, and this actually caught me off guard. I think we're at a point now where 16 gigabytes is slowly becoming a limiting factor. I can get done what I need to get done with this machine, and it is a beast of a machine. But for all of the positives, which I will talk about in this video, I do want to make it clear that the 16 gigabytes is, for me and my workflow, starting to become a bit of a limiting factor, specifically with Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. These two applications are very demanding, and when using them, I find that I have to be very RAM sensitive, which means I have to close applications and make sure I don't have a bunch of other things running, because if I do, it's not going to be a good time. I used about 14 gigabytes in Premiere with Chrome open, and I think I had Xcode open, but I wasn't doing anything. When I closed Xcode, that dropped to about 13 gigabytes, but still, there's a lot of RAM being used, and I think that we're at a point now where 16 gigabytes, it's sufficient, and I'll talk about that. It's been great, but just be wary that if you use the Adobe suite, 16 gigabytes isn't as much as it used to be only a couple years ago. That being said, using Adobe has been great. I'm able to edit 4K, no problem, no proxies necessary. I'm using multiple layers with color correction, transitions, lots of effects, and yeah, no problem at all. I'm able to do it, and it's been a pretty seamless experience. I get a couple of drop frames here and there when I'm really pushing it. For the most part, it's chef's kiss. For software development, which is in general a lot less demanding, I find that this machine is perfect for that. Whether you're working on React projects or you're in Xcode building iOS applications or macOS applications, this thing flies. Everything just works really well. It's really fast. It's really responsive. So I don't have any complaints there at all. If you're a developer or a programmer and you're considering getting a Mac Mini, I think the Mac Mini M2 Pro is an absolutely great choice. General usage with this machine has also been extremely pleasant. This thing kind of just glides. It's very smooth. It's very silky. It's very fast. Everything's responsive in the way that it opens and closes. Everything loads super fast. I don't have any complaints. It's so buttery smooth to work with. Now, as I mentioned before, I upgraded it from 512 to 1 terabyte. That's not necessary. You don't have to do that. I did it because it was in the budget. But if you just buy an external SSD, you can get a Thunderbolt enclosure or just buy like a Samsung T7 or a Crucial USB-C SSD. It's going to fly. You're going to be able to edit things off of that no problem. You're going to be able to use it like you would its internal storage. In fact, I can't really tell a difference between the two. Also with the M2 Pro, you get the Thunderbolt ports at the back. You get 4 as opposed to the 2 that you get on the base model Mac Minis. That's going to conclude my video on the M2 Pro Mac Mini. Highly recommend it. If you like this video, please leave a like. Let me know what you liked. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Let me know what I can improve on. I don't care if your feedback is constructive or otherwise. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And I will hopefully see you guys in the next video. Take care.